Hi guys, today is June 4th, 2020, and futures are pointing to a lower open as jobless claims came in at 1.87 million versus 1.77 million expected. So worse numbers. So let's jump to SPY, ATF or S&P 500, and SPY is trading lower, obviously, and I still have this ascending triangle that I drew about a couple of weeks ago, and I told you this is the bullish pattern, and it's actually proving to be right, because the SPY was going higher, but now it's pushing the RSI at around 70, so I'm expecting actually a slight pullback on SPY. And a lot of people ask me about the stock market, why it's so disconnected from the reality because of the pandemic, the protests, and everything else. But stock markets keep creeping higher. But don't forget the stimulus package that the government and Fed is providing is huge, is humongous. Because if you consider, yes, last year GDP for the US in 2019 was $21.4 trillion, and the Fed and the federal government is providing about $8 trillion in aid, and they're considering another $3 trillion package to help the US economy. So a ton of government stimulus is pushing this market higher, in my opinion. So let's jump to stocks. By the way, before we jump to stocks, if you want to check out my trades and what I'm trading, my portfolio, you can check out my Patreon link in the description of this video. And tomorrow we'll have a video on puts and calls. A lot of people ask me about this video. It's a beginner video, the first in a series of videos I'm planning to do on puts and calls, and check it out, could be interesting. Okay, so let's jump to corporate, and let's start with Tesla. Tesla said that it's tweaking its proposal for the Berlin manufacturing plant in a way that it will please the environmental activists and also keep the production on time. So Tesla is actually going higher. What can you say about Tesla? I think it's still going higher, in my opinion. I mean, people are waiting for the pullback, but I think technically and fundamentally Tesla is going higher. As you can see here, this is a double bottom right here, 2 points right here, and it looks like it's going higher to me. Okay, so let's jump to the next company is Lands' End. Okay, Lands' End is an apparel retailer. In a preliminary report, said that it lost 64 cents versus 56 cents expected. Revenue slightly below, and they said that before the disease outbreak, comp store sales were up 14.2%. So I mean, LE is the apparel maker, apparently is struggling during this pandemic, and but if people expect to reopen, maybe it's not a bad idea to buy this before the US reopens and this starts to climb. So not a bad idea to buy this stock, in my opinion. Okay, Starbucks. Okay, Starbucks is asking workers to close between more limited hours or taking unpaid leave till September. And also said that it does not expect rebound in sales until then, which is until September. So, but in general, Starbucks presenting a very nice technical setup. Again, the double bottom here in 2 points right here. So I actually think that Starbucks, this prices is a buy to me, SBUX. So Boeing is jumping this morning, and shares are higher because they said that they reached a deal with TUI Group, Europe's largest travel company, over the compensation for the grounding of its 737 MAX planes and to delay deliveries of new planes. And as you know, Boeing also said previously that they restarted production of its 737 MAX. So shares are higher, but it's pushing a little bit too high for me, and RSI is closing to over 70. So I will be actually looking to sell my shares, and I have a few shares on this rise in shares, okay, on this jump in shares. Okay, so let's continue with the airlines theme. UAL and other airlines, UAL, DAL, JBLU, LUV, they're all higher this morning after President Trump threatened to block flights by Chinese airlines if they don't ease the restrictions on US carriers. And on a separate note, LUV brokered a sale of 1.8 billion in senior notes. So all these airlines are jumping higher, and it looks like they're going higher to me. I mean, I wouldn't jump on the open, but if they come back after the open, they pull back after the open, it would be an interesting swing trade on airlines. And I'm talking about UAL, DAL, especially DAL. I like a lot, and I had a separate piece on the airlines. Check it out on my channel. I also like JBLU, and I like the LUV actually. So all these airlines are going higher, and they present a pretty good technical setup and pretty decent fundamental news. Okay, so the next company I wanted to talk about is Campbell Soup. Campbell Soup shares fell yesterday after the company reported better than expected earnings and revenue. And today, Stifel still maintained hold on Campbell and raised price target to $53. Actually, I don't know why this shares of this company fell, because they provided pretty good results to me. I have to look into this closer. CPB, Campbell Soup, and I think it's a pretty good opportunity to get into the stock. It's actually paying a nice dividend, and they provided a very nice earnings report. I have to look into this why it fell yesterday more closely. Okay, JKS, Jinko Solar. Jinko Solar is rising pre-market this morning as company received favorable final determination of non-infringement in US ITC patent investigation brought by Hanwha Q Cells actually. So in general, I like the solar companies, and a company like Jinko Solar and CSIQ, which is a Canadian solar, is my favorite. And by the way, Canadian Solar reported very good numbers previously, and actually analysts upgraded the stock in numbers. So actually a pretty good setup for me, and technical setup and very good fundamental setup for CSIQ. So I think I would be buying this stock. Cloudera, CLDR. Cloudera reported pretty good earnings, but issues the weak forecast. And Cloudera is a cloud software company, and but it ran very hot into this report. I mean, the RSI was pushing like 87 or something, so it ran very hot, and they needed to provide a very perfect report, and they provided pretty good numbers, but the forecast was not encouraging, and I think the shares will come down, and I would wait for Cloudera. Even though I like this company, I would wait for Cloudera to buy it. Okay, so next company is Coty. Actually, Coty is in the news lately, and people asking me about this, and it's trading higher after company reports talks with Kim Kardashian. As you know, that Coty already bought like 55% of the Kim Kardashian's sister Kylie business, and but I'm afraid that Coty may overpay again for Kim Kardashian business, but it presents very good technical setup, and I think shares could go higher. And it's trading about $5 pre-market. Could be an interesting opportunity to jump into the stock. Okay, so INO, Innovia Pharmaceuticals, said that it teamed up with International Vaccine Institute and Seoul National University Hospital to conduct 1 and 2 clinical trials for its COVID-19 vaccine. So, I mean, this company has been pretty much beat up yesterday and the day before yesterday, as other vaccine manufacturers like Novavax and Vir, because it didn't make the report of the potential of the President Trump report of potential vaccines that will be available at the end of the year or the beginning of the next year on the market. So this presents to me a pretty good opportunity to get into the stock, because the fact that they didn't make the report doesn't mean that they will not produce the vaccine. Okay, so I think it's a pretty good setup for Inovia Pharmaceutical to buy it. And Moderna is higher this morning because it tapped former Amgen and 3M executive as a CFO, which is pretty good news because it provides more legitimacy to the company. Okay, so SJM, Smucker reported numbers. It's a food producer, and they reported quarterly earnings of 257 a share versus 229 expected, and revenue also beat. But they did say they forecasted that 1 to 2% decline in overall sales for 2021. So Tucker is lower, but frankly, I was not encouraged by by their forecast, and I think the company shares will come down a little bit, but I think closer to like low hundreds. I think I would be buying Smucker. Okay, and NAV reported it's a truck maker. Reported a loss of 38 cents, 3 cents smaller than expected. Revenue came in above. Expects a gradual business recovery. Okay, so NAV is a pretty good company. I like the report, and I think it presents a nice technical setup, even though the Magda is crossing here. But the report was pretty good to me, and I think I would be buying this company. And don't jump at the open, but I think if it comes down a little bit, closer to $25, it's a pretty good buy to me. And Ciena also reported. Ciena is a network equipment maker. They reported 76 cents versus 49 cents. Revenue came in above, but I mean, Ciena ran hot into this report, and actually they needed to provide a perfect report to continue going higher. So I think it will come down a little bit, but still I would be watching this because Ciena is a really good company. I like it a lot, and I think if it comes down to low 50s, I would be a buyer of Ciena. And also I'd like to talk about the cruises. CCL, Carnival Cruises, have extended suspension of some voyages of its Princess Cruises brand that travel to Australia, Canada, and Taiwan. And in general, I'm not a big fan of cruises, even though they've had a big run recently, CCL, RCL. But I think I would be a seller of cruises at this point because I mean, they don't get government support, and nobody knows when the CDC will lift the guidelines to allow them to take passengers to travel. So I would be very careful with cruises at this point. So that's it, guys. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Click the like button, and I'll see you for my weekly on Monday, and tomorrow for my puts and calls video.